What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to episode 17 of the Casual Weebs podcast. Listen, dude, anime is on fire. A full-blown forest fire. Everything's engulfed. It's been absolutely insane. Sadly, next season seems like it's going to be way less crowded, per se, or busy. But hey, dude, it is phenomenal right now. Listen, we got multiple videos coming out soon. Why you should watch Go Go Loser Ranger. Phenomenal anime, and also how Hulu is coming from the shadows of becoming such a dominant, I think, anime platform. It's insane how their Hulu originals have been really popping off, and also the low-key catalog they got for anime. They have some sleepers on there, so even if next season is not going to be as phenomenal as this one, which is understandable, there's going to be plenty to watch, so we got you guys covered, so keep on the lookout for that. But let's talk about this week. Let's talk about how fucking ridiculous this week has been. Okay, listen.
So good.
I gotta take my words back. My Hero Academia, what an episode. What an episode. It was seriously phenomenal. It was so good. They really outdid themselves. Kaiju number 8, as always, but they deliver every week. But I mean, they're DiGiorno, dude. It's not delivery, it's fucking DiGiorno. It's Kaiju number 8. They're just there. You know what I mean? They don't need to be delivered. They're already there. And then Demon Slayer, that was sick. I mean, dude, people are complaining about, oh my god, this season's filler, get rid of it. And they're like, yeah, we're going to fill your goddamn mouth with our nuts. And that's exactly what they did. It's exactly what they did. This episode was insane. It was insanely sad. It was, mysterious, add lore, and then it was badass. Boys, that ending, I've seen so many edits of that. It's hard. I mean, it goes so hard. I mean, we're going to get into it. And then Windbreaker, I'm in denial. This is definitely not the last episode of the season. It can't be. Dude, it is paced like it is Frieren. The fact that it's, ending in 12 episodes with 12 episodes, now, is ridiculous. And it just doesn't seem real or seem right. It just feels wrong. And I'm worried because it's not as popular as it needs to be for guaranteed season 2. So, let's just get into it, man. What do you want to talk about this week?
I feel like I'm always, fucking trying to get after Kaiju just because, every episode's been so good this season. But this one was, pretty important, I feel like.
Dude,
it was huge.
It was insane. And it was like a 2-part episode. You had the first part where you had a lot of emotion, right? You had the emotional roller coaster. Does everyone hate him? Here's the fallout. People feel betrayed. People still shocked. Are they what's going on? And then you end up kind of realizing that, the salute was, I mean, him coming out, seeing them all standing at the ground, very, it's hard hitting. I was like, oh, dude, please don't be mad at him. That's your boy. Don't turn your back on him. And then, Ichikawa just being that guy always, just stepping out.
Homie.
I'll see you soon. And he's like, the fuck you will. Damn right. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
You have the salute. You have that, little interaction with Mina where he's like, hey, can I still stand by you? And she's like, of course. And she was first of all like, I'll help you. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you're going to be okay. I would have loved, because after that little scene where he was talking to Mina and he's like, can I still stand by you? And he was like, I'll be waiting here. And he starts crying. I would have loved if he was just like, I've missed you. Because, it feels kind of weird how they're this really close childhood friends, this close bond. They've been through a lot. And all he's talking about is just standing next to her. Bro, that was still your best friend. Can you not, talk to her like a normal human being? Can you not, hang out with her or, still, be around her? You know what I mean? You're around her again. You're I know, you want to be on that same level and you want to fulfill that promise to her, but it's like, she's here, bro. You know what I mean? You could just say you miss her and, hang out with her and, that kind of shit. She's going to bat for you and probably risk her career to make sure you don't die. I would have just liked to see that little bit more of a connection instead of just oh, it's been a while, we're just rivals. You're just a means to an end. Come on, bro. You know what I mean? They've built on that friendship some more.
Yeah, she's all business, all work, all the time, which I kind of feel feeds into her character a little bit.
Too. We expect that from Mina. We understand that, but the way Kafka looks at their friendship feels that way, where it's very stern and very business.
Yeah, and I feel the whole first half of that episode is kind of somber. You see some of the third divisions conversations between each other, and everybody's pretty busted up about it for different reasons. You have Ishikawa, who that's his senpai, his buddy, they're good friends. They both saved each other multiple times. Well, more Kafka than Ichikawa, but he looks out for him. He's he's kept his secret, so that's probably enough to stave off execution. You know what I mean? So, and then Aoi, the muscle bound dude, he says he doesn't want to lose anybody. He doesn't want anybody to die, obviously. So like that was kind of cool hearing him come out and like stick up for Kafka because he's kind of a more quiet guy.
Well,
You
you
know what I
missed
mean? It
the
was cool
part
to hear
before
that.
that. The part where he was on the phone and he was it sounds like he's trying to break Kafka out or something. He's like, I need to rescue somebody. Like that part was, I was like, whoa, wait, what?
Yeah, that was interesting. Like, and they don't touch on the conversation anymore. When Always sits down, I always forget the guy's name. The rich defense contracting son.
Yeah, the one where
Um,
the muscle mommy loves him. The
yeah,
good looking
yeah.
prodigy, she called him or something.
He's the boy toy of the
Oh
defense
yeah, the
force,
pretty boy
apparently.
prodigy.
Yeah, with the blue hair,
Yeah.
the Sasuke of the team.
Oh, don't
Um,
disrespect our boy like that. That's Sasuke. Don't disrespect the blue hair guy like that.
I used to hate Sasuke, but he came around. He comes around.
I don't hate Sasuke. I just hate that people call him and Naruto best friends.
I feel like Naruto is the ultimate friend, bro. Sasuke
Yeah,
is
but
a
Sasuke
dog shit
isn't.
friend.
Exactly. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
he's a
saying.
terrible friend, and he's a shitty dad. He hangs out more with his friend's son than he does his own daughter.
We're not gonna get into it, boys. Kaiju, bro.
Yeah, I
We
was
got
gonna say
this is a whole
I'm
nother
off the
video.
rails.
All right, keep on the lookout. Dogging Sasuke or breaking down the complexities of Sasuke Uchiha.
Yeah, there you go. But it was cool to see like the first half Kafka's insecurities and like he really blames himself for the whole situation when it's just him and Ishikawa in the hospital beds and the kaiju pounces on him. It's not like he had any hand or any desire to make this thing come to life or to be this kaiju. So like I feel like he disappointed everybody or he let people down. He betrayed people like Mina and Hoshina. So like it was kind of cool to see his character like that. Like he kind of takes blame for something that's absolutely not his fault, which like we kind of know Kafka's a good dude like that.
Yeah.
But what, like you said, what really brings it home is when Ishikawa stands out of line and then Hoshina salutes him in front of like the brass, and that guy's like, "Surely you're not saluting a kaiju, right?" And he's like, "No, my superior officer." It just kind of goes to show you that they all really do care about Kafka as a person.
Dude, that was huge when they kind of when it's like, all right, ready, and then boom, and they all just do that. I was just like, yo, that just felt nice. You were just like, yes, like, oh, thank God, like, sweet.
And that for me was like Hoshino like finally recognizing Kafka as something other than like the class clown. Like he knows he can hang now and like he's a good dude, and obviously he didn't want to see him dead. So that was a really nice scene.
Yeah, like Catholic can hang, just save the world, or like not to save the world, but save Japan from a massive ass bomb, and just save everyone's life. But no biggie. Like, I
He
think
was
that
still
1%
so
with the
bitter.
2% of putting his faith into him or his trust into him.
Yeah, he was still bitter though. He's like, yeah, he wasn't fighting me at full power. So
Yeah.
he wants a rematch. That was cool.
Yo, I completely forgot about that. He was like, yeah, he's a little salty. He's like, he wasn't fighting me full power. I want to take him on next time. If anyone kills
He's
him,
got to come
I'm
back
gonna
here.
kill him.
Yeah, he's like he's got to come back here so I can fight him at full strength, which typical Hoshino. But like his whole character and like his personality and kind of that chip on his shoulder, his ruggedness, like his attitude. It was cool to see him peel that back and show like he's just he does care about him.
Yeah, dude, the whole first part of the episode was just like there's so many little details. Yeah, that I didn't even think of or remember until we started talking about it, bringing it up, and it's just like
Really well done.
amazing first half of the episode. Emotions are all over the place. You're trying to figure stuff out. I mean, the little details of like, dude, I want to know what's going to happen with a lot of these little things that are brought up. Like that dude is making calls, trying to figure out like where he is, and like what's going on. And he's talking about like, hey, I don't want anyone to die. I'm not leaving anyone behind. Like we're Division 3, baby. Like we're family.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? So like we're gonna go get his ass, and like I just loved that. That was so cool, and so cool seeing those guys really good at bat for Kafka because we haven't seen him really interact with them. Well, actually, Kafka arm wrestled the muscle dude. Hey, wait, right?
Yeah, he gets crushed. Yeah.
So you gotta
Like
love.
even those scenes, like it builds like camaraderie and friendship. So like
Yeah.
they all do care about each other deep down.
Oh, absolutely. Especially because there's a ton that we like don't see as well. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But the second half of that episode, that is another doozy to break down. So much went into that. So first of all, I don't think that. I think that her dad, Shinamiya's dad, director Shinamiya, is going out on a limb to execute him, like going out of bounds to do it. Because when he goes in, like we first the scene right before that is Mina putting together paperwork. Like I get together all the footage, all the eyewitnesses to back Kafka up, and then there's an execution. Like, I feel like she would have known about it. Like, executing Kaiju number 8 would have been a whole massive ordeal. You would have had multiple sign-offs to do it. All the leaders would have been there, you know, board of directors or whatever. It would have been a whole thing, and you'd see him just come in like, yep, here's execution, like, let's go. Puts on Kaiju number 2 gloves and goes to work. I'm like, I just feel like there's a lot that's going to happen. I feel like the way that, well, a lot did happen. So Kafka is losing control. He can't control his body. The first time that happened, that scene was disgusting. Dude,
Sick.
like when he started screaming, he starts amping up. You're like, holy shit, who is this guy? Where did he come from? And then he just takes off and like, yo, like I think we're about to see the actual capability of the Kaiju 8. I feel like Kafka actually holds back Kaiju 8 quite a bit, and I feel like we're about to see him unleashed. And it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be so cool to see.
Hell yeah, I'm really excited. That scene where he takes off and you have like the watercolor animation like coming off of him, it's just like so beautifully done. But I think we will finally get to see some of the like the abilities and capabilities of Kaiju number 8, because we had touched on it before. Like, you know, Kafka's the old guy with the tire, the fat tire. Like he's out of shape, didn't pass the physical to get into the defense force. So like, he really is inexperienced, and you had touched on his lack of combat experience. Like he's getting pieced up, like his limbs blown off by Shinomiya's dad, and then when he finally makes a run for it, his legs are gone. So I feel like him losing control is kind of like, not only his confidence is getting rocked, like he knows he can't really keep up and he's in a bad situation, but like once he's reached that limit of like maybe his life or what he can do, the Kaiju takes over and is like trying to protect them, I guess you could say.
Yeah, because it's definitely fight or flight. Because first of all, like he's Kaiju senses go off when there's Dai Kaiju or those big ones come in. Where he's like, oh, I can sense it, I can feel it. You know what I mean? I feel like that's that Kaiju kind of warning. I'm like, hey, there's danger here, bro. And he even says he's like, I can feel Kaiju number 2. You know what I mean? So I feel like it got to the point where Kaiju number 8, kind of like whatever Kaiju's kind of in him or works with him, was kind of like, hey, dude, like, you're not keeping up. Like, you obviously are getting outclassed by this guy. You don't have the experience to fight him. I need to take over before we die. Because he's trying to kill us. You know what I mean? And this is exactly what Shinomiya, Director Shinomiya, is trying to do. He's trying to pull him out of that. He's trying to get that fight or flight, which, again, is super hypocritical. Because, like, the whole point, like, where I was trying to get to with, like, this is all personal and, like, he's coming in there and executing him when he's, like, not authorized to do that, is because his wife died by Kaiju. He's taking it really personally. Doesn't care. Let's just get rid of him. He, I think, is intimidated by Kaiju number 8 because he's like, well, these motherfuckers can infiltrate us. That's a problem. That's really scary. But it's so, like, he comes in and, like, it's, like, super, I don't know, it's, like, super, like, unprofessional, super, like, personal, where you're, like, testing him and you're forcing him to come at you, which is like such a bullshit. Like, why are you trying to get him to that point where it's like you're forcing him to die? Like, that's the least human thing in the world. What human do you know is just gonna roll over and take it? You know what I mean? And that's
Absolutely.
what you're forcing him to do, to prove he's a human. Like, bullshit. And then you see a lot when we talk about, you know, Kaiju number 8 in the scene with Tokyo Ghoul, where it's like, okay, well, in Tokyo Ghoul, we made multiple videos, and I talked about how it's like super hypocritical about how they're sitting there and like, yeah, these ghouls are nasty and disgusting, we must kill them all. But then you're using ghouls to make the weapons, and then that keeps going further and further until you have those ghoul suits, and then you're injecting the DNA into people and creating partial ghouls. Like, you're sitting there like, oh, Kafka, you're a Kaiju, well, you have to be executed. That's awful. But it's like, bro, like, your suits are from Kaiju, your weapons are from Kaiju, you're using the power of Kaiju number 2. Like, how are you sitting there and like look in the mirror, buddy? Like, you're coming at him, and everything that you're saying against him and using to test him is also on you. Like, when he shoots him, bullets go off of his arm. Well, that's his Kaiju arm. That's technically his suit, you know, per se. You know, if you shot him in the real arm, it would have went through. It would have been real skin. But he doesn't want to get shot in the arm. Go figure, who does? Buddy, if we shoot you when you're in your suit, is the bullets gonna go through? Oh, does that make you a Kaiju then? Because that's your logic. You know what I mean? I know my logic's not really great here, but neither is his. So it's who's less stupid. You know what I mean? So it's like super hypocritical. It's all over the place. It's super personal, and this fight is just a mess. You know, I feel like me explaining it is a massive mess, and I feel like that's because it's what it is. You know, like I said, it's super personal. It's just super hypocritical all over the place, and I feel like that is what it's going to. That's what's going to lead to Kafka being able to show he's a human. Is because things are going to get out of hand. Shinomiya's there. Her life's going to get in danger because of her dad. Her dad's sitting there not thinking about anybody else. It's just way too personal. He's destroying that like chamber, that arena, trying to like kill Kafka, and he's ripping it up. Now you have Kafka who lost control. Now he's about to rip that place up. You're gonna have a really good bout because you have two guys who are super strong, and now both guys are gonna have good combat experience. I think Kaiju number 8 can throw around. I think it's Kafka who's been holding back, who's been the anchor, with his fat tire. But I feel like Shinomiya's life's gonna be put in danger. Kafka's gonna regain control, save her, and then that's what's gonna be like, okay, well, you're human, or at least somewhat human, and that's what's gonna grant him his freedom.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought of it like that, like, because I was like, why the fuck is Shinomiya even there? Like, it's not Mina or like Hoshina. Like,
she does have an attachment to him.
She does care about him, which I think is important, and like they care about each other, and obviously he saved her life, so like she does owe him. Well, not owe him, but like she does feel an attachment to him. I think I'm definitely in agreement with you. Director Shinomiya is like super irresponsible because he has this personal vendetta against Kaiju because his wife got killed, which sure, that's sad, but for him to go against protocol and lower the barriers and do all these things that, his subordinates were like, oh, are you sure we shouldn't do that? He's kind of going out and like trying to flex and say like, let me make an example of Kafka in this situation to show you that like we're better than the Kaiju. But I think it'll end up backfiring because if you look at like the evidence presented, Kaiju number 8 hasn't killed anybody. He's, if anything, helped out the defense force in multiple situations. And there's never been any reports of him being hostile or losing control. So you don't really have a leg to stand on other than that he is a Kaiju. And I think there's like a sense of, what's the word for it? A sense of like defeat, or like for Mina, Hoshina, and like the top guys, like the director, the brass feels a sense of like responsibility and like defeat that they let, like you said, a Kaiju infiltrate them, make the defense force. And like, I feel like they take that at least the director definitely is like, he's taking it personally and like, I have to be the guy to weed him out.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's not even thinking of his daughter who's watching. He's just trying to go, literally tear them completely apart.
Because the room that she's in already is damaged. Like, the glass that was protecting them is completely shattered, and they're just getting started. And I love how I just went on, like, a 10-minute rant and probably made no fucking sense, and you just perfectly said what I said. I might just cut my part out. I might just put what you said in. There we go, boys, because you just said it way better.
Teamwork makes a dream work, baby.
Like, that just makes it easy. Yeah, but, like, that's where I think that Kafka's going to regain control, come in, save her, and then that's the only way I can see him get out of this. You know what I mean? How else?
Yeah, and like, why else would she be there? You know what I mean? Like, if I feel like if it was like he needed a buddy, it would be Ishikawa. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see kind of how it plays out, and I would like to see Kaiju number 8 push the director. I think the director is going to take some serious damage because, like, they said he's the strongest soldier ever, but like we've never really seen any one soldier take down like Kaiju number 9 or Kaiju number 2 or 8. You know what I mean? Like Kaiju number 10, Hoshina did a great job, but he still couldn't kill him by himself. It took Kafka to like, defeat that self-destruct mechanism he used. So it'll be interesting to kind of see like
end bomb.
Yeah, like he definitely would have killed Hoshina regardless if he died or not. But like it'll be interesting to see kind of how far he pushes him. And we had talked about combat experience and kind of like maybe we'll see some new abilities or like what Kafka's lacking. And I had touched on it without going too deep into it. If the defense force had any fucking common sense, they would be like, all right, we got played, we have a Kaiju within us. Like, let's train him and monitor him to make sure like he can use his abilities and like steel himself in these moments so he doesn't lose control. And then you turn him into the strongest asset in the defense force. But yeah, like we had said, the director's a little too personal.
Here's the thing too, we don't even know if the Kaiju number 8 that's like a part of him even wants to kill humans, because he's scared right now because he's sensing Kaiju number 2. He's only attacked Kaiju. Like, that Spidey sense in him has only triggered against Kaiju. And I've only went into
Kaiju number 2 and 10.
Exactly. It's never been against humans. Like, when he was against Hoshina and Hoshina was tearing him apart, like, it never kicked in then. It never got to the point where he's like, oh, I have to step in and kill this guy. It's always been against Kaiju. Like, kind of like Kaiju number 8 is kind of like a self-hating Kaiju. You know what I mean? Where he only looks at them as threats and only looks to take them out. You know what I mean? So I wonder if even, to a certain aspect, let's see the fight and see if Kaiju number 8, when Kafka lost control, is going to do things that would put people at risk. You know what I mean?
Very interesting, yeah. And like, I don't know if there's a name for this little Kaiju, like what the actual little bug is inside of him that like shows up.
There's
and keeps
no name.
saying,
I looked it up. There's no name. It doesn't. So it's
Damn
not
it.
even in the
I wanted
manga.
I want
Yeah.
like a Pochita name or something to refer to him by. You know what I mean? That would
Yeah.
be like too fitting. But you're definitely right. He's never shown any hostility towards humans or any situation Kafka's been in other than when his life is in danger. Their life is in danger. So like I kind of attributed like my first thought was Naruto. Like, will he build a bond with this thing? Kind of like Naruto and Kurama do. But then part of me thinks like Kafka has missed that boat. Naruto got stronger and used Kurama to become like the ultimate, the strongest ninja out there. I don't see Kafka like refining himself into some like Greek
Well, he
god
already has the
fighter.
power. I mean, the whole thing where like
He doesn't need to,
yeah,
yeah.
he already can control the kaiju. You know what I mean? He already can transform and control. I don't think he needs to like talk to it or like figure something out. You know what I mean? It's just like he's already in control. I mean, the only time it takes over is like when he's about to die, which makes sense. But the thing with Shinomiya too, real quick, I think the whole reason why she's there and not Ichikawa is Ichikawa doesn't have the clearance. I mean, that is the director's daughter. She
That's
is able to
true.
get in. Everyone else who would be there either doesn't know about it because no one else knows about it. She went to go to bat for him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna kill this guy right now." And then she's like, "What?" So she's going in there to make sure everything's fine. Because I don't think he was even planning on killing him necessarily. But he went in to kind of talk to him. I think Shinomiya was just going to see what's going on and kind of like root for him. And that's when her dad's just like, "Yeah, unchain him. You know, give me the gauntlets. Like, let's
I'm
go."
here to square the
And
fuck up.
she's like, and she was even screaming. She's like, trying to defend him. You know, even from there. So it's just like, yeah, I think she's just kind of rooting for him, but like for plot reasons that she's there so she can be saved. I think, but I don't know what
That's a
else. If I'm wrong, I would love to know how. You know, that's what I can't wait next week for. Because if I'm wrong, it's like, how is he going to be able to prove that he's human and get out of this?
like the only other thing I could think of is like he doesn't kill the director, but he defeats him, and like that's not going to stop his rampage. Obviously, he's like the kaiju wants to kill. So unless he goes on like some crazy rampage, like how are they going to subdue him if he does beat the director? I definitely think you're spot on with that with Shinomiya being there. I think that's kind of the perfect setup for it.
We've thought that before. We've been wrong before, though. So
That is true, and like Kaiju's done a good job of like being pretty linear, like you know sort of what to expect, and they give you twists, but like enough of a twist that it's like, oh shit, that's not what I thought.
yo, we literally thought like, yeah, he's probably not gonna like get found out until like season like 5 or 6. Literally the next week.
Yeah, like literally shows up. I had a feeling he would get caught, but like I feel like the writing has done a really good job of like keeping you on your toes despite having like an easy enough to understand storyline so far.
No, dude, Kaiju number 8 has been flawless. It has been amazing.
I agree.
And they're coming out with the video game, so hopefully that means they're coming out the season 2. You know what I mean? And hopefully the video game is going to be good because we might have to
I'm here
play.
for it.
We
I'm
might have to
definitely
play
here
it.
for it.
But yo, what do we got into next? We got My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, or Windbreaker.
Dude, that Demon Slayer episode was sick. Especially after like last episode we were talking about people not liking it. Like you said, some of the filler like it felt like filler and should be removed.
Yeah, the
Like
filler
this
allegations.
episode, yeah, it beat him this week because like
For sure.
the we finally got Guillaume's backstory. I feel like he's been the character we've kind of avoided the most or know the least about.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
was cool to finally get his backstory, and he had some really hard hitting lines. Like the writing was good. The line where he says, you know, children are just like selfish creatures, and then he like the examples he gives are like, you know, what any kid would do in the moment they're exposed to like intense trauma. Like you can't fault either of the kids that betray them in a way because they're just like 4-year-old kids or whatever. But
That
the
was
line when Guillaume,
heartbreaking, though.
dude, that's why I love Demon Slayer. So ruthless and shit. Like just to the very end.
The way that they built that up too, with her being the one to give him her food and be like, "You're looking skinny, please eat." You know, the one that was
Yeah,
just always there, then the one who hid behind him, the only one who listened to him. She was the one who was like, well, she's the one who survived, but she was the one who was like, yeah, he's the monster. Bro, that must have been devastating for him. I'd still be crying. That's why he cries all the time. Is like,
yeah.
how do you get over that?
You were like, yeah, bro needs a hug. Like,
Obviously,
he
yeah.
does.
Yeah, but that's what I texted him. I was like, we were talking about it, and I'm like, bro, I just want to hug him. I just want to hug the big man. It's like, dude, he needs it.
And that line where he's like pounding that guy's face in, the demon's face in, he's like, I would have lived my entire life without knowing how strong I am if it wasn't for that. It was like, damn. It makes you think like, at least it makes me think like the right time or the wrong time in the wrong place. Like, you know, just that one event completely altered his trajectory, and like he ended up being arguably the most crucial part of the Hashira. You know, like He's the strongest. He's the oldest. It definitely like leads me to believe like he is the top dog. After like his personality shows, like his backstory and like kind of how he is today, like it all kind of came together for me in this episode.
Yeah, well, that's the thing though. It really was the right time in the right place. Just because something bad happens doesn't mean bad things necessarily come from it. You know what I mean? Like that was shitty. That absolutely was. To go through that experience was awful for the kids, for that girl, for him. Just absolutely awful. But because of that, think about how many lives were saved.
Through
Because
that,
he
dude.
became a
Very
demon
good point.
slayer, like his whole life was pretty much defined by that moment. You know, it ended up becoming really sculpting of who he is. It ended up bringing him into the Demon Slayer Corps, where he ended up saving just a count like endless amount of people, and then also inspiring others, and then helping them grow and helping them save people. So it's just like, even though it's like a really shitty thing and it feels weird saying, "Oh, that's right time, right place," it really was, because that's like his best outcome, I think, for his life.
That's a really, really good point and a good way to look at it. It was just like really cool to finally like. I feel like we met Gyome finally because he's been in scenes
Yeah,
and episodes a few times, but you don't know anything about him. His dialogue is very short. So I really enjoyed these last two episodes, and then obviously the end of that scene, like we see Sanemi realizing that they've been infiltrated and like crushes that little eyeball from the upper moon. Um, but Muzan had already pulled up. He doing his little Michael Jackson walk through the courtyard there. It was
well,
such a sick
real
scene.
quick before we get into that, I thought it was super interesting the side that we saw Zenitsu this week. For the first time, we saw him serious, and we saw him like, dude, he looked like upset. He got that letter, and it's like, yo, what's up with that letter? Like the guy who was
So
constantly crying and whining and all of this, you know, he's determined. Like he wasn't eating. He was straight up on that rock trying to push it for days on end and just so determined, and he just like, something's up with him. I want to know what's in that letter. You know what I mean? That was something that I thought was insane in this episode.
it was like since I know what happens, like it was like where does Zenitsu lock in the story? Like how does this play out to make him kind of grow the fuck up? I do love like immature, like annoying Zenitsu, like amazing character. Like when Inosuke finally pushes his boulder, he's just like his look of defeat is so good. It's like yes, this is why I love him. It's like bitching at his crow too, like really good scenes. But then you see
Yeah.
him locked in and like I feel like it's a total home run. It's really super cool and it's a cool moment for Zenitsu. Like that character growth that we'll get to see is just fucking top tier.
And dude, you know that we see in this potential. I mean, this guy can just be on a whole nother level if he actually takes shit serious. Like he can actually rival Tanjiro and Inosuke. You know, so like seeing this part of him in this little change, and it was like something that was so like, again, like minor. Like there's so many things this week that was like so easily overlooked, but they're just such little details where it's like, yo, this is actually big.
It's really sick, and I totally had forgotten about like, you know, they had announced blah, 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 can't speak. Demon Slayer is going to end with like a movie trilogy, which like I think is pretty cool. I think
I think that's the best way to do it.
it'll be the best way to deliver like really high quality content and not like stretch it out. You know what I mean? Or have like
But then
another three
everyone's in
seasons.
the theaters too. You know what I mean? The end of this, you know, awesome series. Well, I'm gonna say it's awesome. If you have your opinions, you have your opinions. But it's like being around people, and being around people with all the reactions and all the things that are gonna happen, and the way it's gonna unfold. It's just gonna be sick to just live it with
E-
everybody.
and each movie, like I have a pretty good idea of how they would break up the fights and stuff. Each movie will have like a lot of hard hitting moments. Like it'll really be a cool experience to see those movies.
So real
But
quick,
I
is
forgot
the
about.
movies after the Infinity Castle arc, or is that a part of the movies?
I'm gonna assume it's a part of the movies. Like
Oh,
it's.
really?
I feel like very, very, very straightforward. Once like the
Okay.
action pops off, I feel like it's straightforward. So like you could kind of break it up by like the fights or like I don't know. I don't know if they go by chapters or however they want to do that, but they'll add in scenes and shit. So it'll be action packed. I feel like that's a really, really good way to kind of close us out.
Yeah, because it does seem like they have changed some stuff from the manga to the anime. I saw some people were saying, like in the episode one where Sanemi and Obanai, you know, were running after the demons and they jumped and they were kind of like in the Infinity Castle. Apparently, that never happened in the manga.
Yeah, they all kind of see it or experience it for the first time, and I always like those extra added scenes, like, it just gives you like that extra. I don't know if experience is the right word, but like just some like little extra goodies, some treats, like the
Yeah.
animators throw in there to like make the experience different than if you had read the manga. Because like a degenerate like me, I can't wait. You know what I mean? I have to know what happens.
Yeah. I get what you mean. But then, yeah, going back to it, so Tsunemi finds the eye finally. The eye's been following everybody for a while. Last episode or 2 episodes ago, they said that they found like 60% of the core, probably more now. But then Tsunemi found one and was like, yo, we've been infiltrated. So I think shit's going to hit the fan next week. I think. Maybe.
I think it'll, I think it'll really start to pop off. Like now that we've seen that meeting between Muzan and Ubayashiki, that was really really cool. Just that's why Demon Slayer rocks. They just pull that scene out of nowhere at the end, and it was like super cool.
The way that they
So
did it. Well, did you see the cutscene? The end scene? Like after all the stuff?
like where Tanjiro starts talking.
So you start the scene with Muzan, and then it goes to the credits. But then there's more after the credits.
Yeah, where he like walks up on him and stuff, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
it's like good to finally meet you."
I've seen so
Which
many edits of that. Like, dude, it's been all over YouTube. It's been hard hitting. It's been like, damn, with the smoke, the sound of the footsteps, dude. It was sick. It was so sick.
even just like a short, I don't know, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute scene, however long that was, like that for me, it's like, yo, Muzan is a fucking phenomenal villain. His aura, like his walk, like he knows he's the fucking man, schemed up, and like has finally beaten Ubayashiki. Like they're both kind of like masters at being stealthy. You know what I mean? They both
Yeah.
stay out of the way and work from the shadows, but Muzan won. You know what I mean? I feel like he's finally gonna make that first step, that first move into like trying to capture Nezuko.
Well, are we gonna see a conversation between them? Because I feel like that's gonna be really fascinating, especially by the way that the one guy kind of
I hope
opened
we
up and he was
do.
like, "Oh, it's like nice to meet you." You know what I mean? He wasn't like surprised. He wasn't scared. He was just like he was ready. He was comfortable. You know, it's like, damn, what is this?
Which I do really hope we get a conversation. I don't know if they did that in the manga or not, but like it would be cool to see them just have a talk because Muzan is from his bloodline,
Yeah.
and Ubayashiki is cursed because of Muzan
Hmm.
being, kind of a huge piece of shit. So like it would be cool for them to like either say fuck you, yeah, fuck you too, or like kind of hash it out and like explain where they think each other went wrong or something. Hopefully he doesn't. I don't think he'll kill Ubayashiki though. I think he'll just let him waste away. But for me, that signals like they're both ready for like that end game, that
Maybe
final war to take
yeah,
place.
maybe some more depth into the family as well, and kind of like what's
That
going
would
on
be
behind the scenes.
what made Muzan this way. How did he become a demon? I don't know if they've touched on any of that, but like that would be cool to see.
Oh, they did. They did. So they actually, I forget at the end of what season, but it was like, I forget it was like an episode or maybe like a end of the half episode. I think of the last season. It actually showed Muzan getting sick, him getting turned into a demon, and it showed everything from that aspect.
The last episode, I'll have to watch that because I forget
So
how
the
he.
yeah, so the last episode of the last season, it was like the second half of it. It showed him getting sick. It showed him with the doctor. He's like, "Oh, just do whatever," and then he ends up getting turned into demon. He's like, "What the fuck's this?" Ends up going after the doctor. I think then he realizes he can't get cured. And he tries to kill him. That's when he finds out about the flowers. But what's funny about the flowers is that people were saying that Muzan is actually stupid. They're like, this guy's actually an idiot because when you think about it, why are you using demons to look for these flowers that only bloom during the day? Why aren't you recruiting humans? Out of all these
Yo, I
years,
never
these
even thought
hundreds of
that.
years, why didn't you ever recruit humans to go look for them? And we apparently know that other demons have been linked to using humans to do their bidding. So other demons are doing it.
Yeah,
Why isn't Muzan doing it? Why aren't you using him to look for these flowers that only grow during the day or only bloom during the day? Like apparently there's multiple things that Muzan did or didn't do where it was just kind of like this guy's kind of like an idiot the way he kind of played things out because he has that stature where he's the man. You know what I mean? And he is a great villain.
yeah, you're definitely right. That's an interesting point. The only thing that I could think of is that like his experience with Yorichi has like scarred him and tried to keep him
Mm-hmm.
like that's why he stays hidden because he doesn't want to run into anybody and he knows through Daki and
I don't know his name starts with a G
uh
or something.
Yeah, the gross guy, her
You
gross
guys know
older
what I'm talking. Yeah,
brother.
yeah,
He like experienced that sun breathing through Daki, so he knows Tanjiro can do it. So I think there's like an air of intimidation that Muzan would never admit to, but like that's part of the reason he uses, I think, these strong demons who's he's clearly stronger than all of them. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that's why he uses them to do the bidding and try and like find this stuff. But you're right, that very conflicting. You're definitely not gonna get it done that way.
Exactly, but like, dude, absolutely insane. I mean, this season of Demon Slayer has been phenomenal. I don't know how many episodes are going to be. I'm gonna have to look that up after this because like, I want to know more about Shinobu. I feel like there's a lot unsaid that needs to be talked about there. I feel like we're
That's a
not
good
finished
point.
there. I feel like we're gonna have Muzan and that other guy. We're gonna have interactions with them, and I feel like we're gonna have things start to heat up more. But yeah, I think we have a couple episodes left, and it's heating up, and it's gonna be insane. I've been beyond impressed. This was a huge episode, a huge episode. I hope we know what happens in that letter. I want to know what's in there. You know what I mean? I want
I
to
do.
hear from it. I know, but like, I want it to
It's
be a
so
surprise. I think I know what it
it's a
is, but I'm
really
not sure.
it's a really good like plot point, and I think it's a good catalyst to like make Zenitsu. I don't want to say like grow up or like cooler. I don't really know what the word is. I guess just lock in. It helps him lock in like this experience, and it makes him like come full circle. I feel like
Okay, no spoilers. Don't say anything spoiler wise. Does that letter have to do with his fight in the Infinity Castle? Okay, I think I know what it is then. Sort of,
maybe.
sort of.
I still don't know how that all comes together though,
Because like,
because
you listen, people are super talented. I've already seen that really famous scene from his fight because a fan animated it, and they did a phenomenal fucking job. Like,
I'm gonna watch that for sure.
I'll send it to you. Like, it's really good, and I'm like, you think that they did it? Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, that really famous scene from what he's gonna have in the Infinity Castle, a fan animated it, and you think that Demon Slayer did it? That it was like from them. Like, it is so
Straight
spot on
UFO
and
table
perfect.
quality.
Yeah, and
That's sick.
it's with the voice actor and everything. So I think it has to be. I don't think a fan's able to do that because like it's that top notch, and like you have like voicing over in it. Like he says something, which is like why I think it's related to the letter. So like. I mean, people out there are so talented. I don't know why these studios don't like look online and be like, that person's really skilled. Let's hire them. You know what I mean? Because you guys are
True
struggling
that.
with hiring people. Look online. Some of the fan edits or animations are insane. They're so good.
And for like any anime you can think of too. I've seen it all over the place, but yeah, shout out to all the talented people doing that in their free time because that shit is
Dude,
amazing.
we're definitely gonna watch that little clip after this because yeah, you gotta see it.
Hell yeah.
It's so good. I gotta watch it again. Like it's that good. But yeah, dude, Demon Slayer is really wrapping up. It's really looking good. I'm super excited for the rest of the actual anime in the series itself. But like this season's been phenomenal, and I think this was such a good season to bring us into that next part. You know what I mean? Where it's just all going to go haywire, all going to go crazy. This was really good to just build up, learn a lot, add a lot of depth to it, and kind of just be like, all right, boys, final stretch, let's do it. You know what I mean? It's like the last year, like I don't know how to say it, like your last year in high school or like in college. You know what I mean? Like you had that build up all
Yeah.
those years. Like this is it, boys. Like it's over now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Very well said. And like I can understand if you're like looking for action or you're not really into Demon Slayer that much, but like if you can make it to this point in this season, everything else is like all reward. It's all like main course and dessert. No fillers, no like appetizers. It's just a feast. So, and I feel like part of like the build up for or like the reward of these like really cool fights and scenes is like because you've hung out with them for 4 seasons and gotten to know people and their backstories. So it'll definitely pay off. The payoff's awesome. So
yeah,
hopefully people stick with it.
I have to say, like that one scene being spoiled of Zenitsu's fight in the next season makes me think, what are the Hashira gonna do? That's what I'm blown, like mind blown about. Like, what are the
Yeah.
Tsunemi scenes gonna be, and the Giyu scenes, and the Mist Hashira scenes, and the Obanai scenes? Like, if Zenitsu, the crybaby, orange, can sit there like a little Pikachu, can do that, then what's everyone else gonna do? Like that season to me is like gonna be unrivaled in certain ways because that scene was seriously incredible. But yeah, dude, let's talk about My Hero Academia. Oh my god.
You're right. I'm taking my words back. I'm like, I got 9 minutes of filler. Oh shit. Okay. All right, we're getting started. So
Well,
to say, I think it was on fire. That
got
was
him.
terrible, but yeah, that was as bad as it gets. But it was a sick episode. That was finally like, all right, this shit has finally started. Like, immediately get to some of the good stuff, and I'll wait to bring it up. But like, by the end of the episode, I'm like, I think we're getting, our string pulled here.
Okay. So first of all, start of the episode and kind of going to last episode. I wrote down Toga down bad. Deku's girlfriend got jealous, and thank God Deku left. That is the biggest thing from last week's episode, the week
Huge,
that we
yeah,
missed. Thank
true
God
that.
Deku's gone because we're so worried that he was going to step below and fight below and then stoop to her level and he'd be stuck there. He needs to be at with Shigaraki. That's the fight he needs to be at. So thank God, like he is leaving. He's going to the actual fight he needs to be at. Perfect. Like thank God. Thank you. Like that's what we were worried about. But dude, I was a little worried when this episode started because it was Dobby's backstory again, like more of his backstory, and I was like, listen, like you already did this before. Why wasn't it explained?
We've
then?
seen a lot of these scenes.
Why was it explained now? And then it was like after the backstory, you're like, oh, I get it. Like I get it. It makes sense now. I get why you're introducing this part of it. Also introducing why like they're kind of saying like, hey, he's a loose cannon, which actually kind of goes back to my theory where they might be able to turn Dobby onto their side because they're even kind of saying that Dobby's not on their side. Dobby's not on anybody's side. He's just Dobby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought that I was a little worried when I saw the backstory in the beginning of the episode, but as the episode progresses, you're like, okay, makes a ton of sense, awesome, actually perfect. Then you kind of get into the fight. You get a little bit of with Shoto. You get some of what he was talking about, what he was doing, and then the fight scenes were just between them were not much like in terms of what actually happened, but awesome, so amazing to watch. Like that episode was just
Definitely.
packed with information, with action, with the animation was so good, and it was just like yes, dude, I loved every minute of it.
It was awesome seeing him like pull that move off and kind of like Shoto kind of like proving that he is the counter to his brother. You know what I mean? Like him being able to use this like flash fire as like the perfect counter to Dobby, whose flames are so hot like the other people can't even stand there and hang. You know what I mean? So it's got to be Shoto to win this fight. The like glacier move, I forget what it's exactly the name of it. That was so sick. Like seeing the animation of like all the buildings get covered in ice and like just the reflections and stuff. That was really cool. That was a badass move. But like towards the end of that episode, I'm like, there's no way that's it. This cannot be
Yeah,
like
one
a
episode and
one
it's
shot knockout
exactly
of
and
like
then
the
it's
one of
sealed
the
up.
main villains.
Yeah, and like we were saying last or 2 episodes ago, it needs to be Endeavor versus Dobby. You know, Shoto
Yeah,
coming
there's
in
no
there
way.
with that one shot, that one move just to neutralize Dobby, and that's the end of it. You know what I mean? But I feel like the kind of missing piece here is that, like I said, maybe Dobby is not on all for once, one for all, the bad guy side. Um,
I can never keep it straight, bro. It's too close.
I know
All for one, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like maybe Dobby's kind of on Shoto's side, but like because he defeated him, and it seems like they kind of bonded a little bit. Now he's like, hey, like I'm not gonna try to kill anybody. I still got beef with Endeavor. I still got to prove myself to him, and I still got to fight him. So I think that fight is still there, but I don't think Dobby's necessarily a problem anymore. You know what I mean? That's at least my possible opinion. Because the Dobby Endeavor fight needs to happen, but I don't think that after this, Dobby's going to be like, oh, we're going to kill everybody. Because they made the point of saying that Dobby's not on anybody's team.
Yeah, that was an interesting like character trait they kind of gave him, which, I mean, we obviously know his goal, and you're right. It's got to be Endeavor. So there's got to be something that transpires to keep him going, because he's not just going to lose on one shot from his little brother. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of string this together, and I'm excited to see like his fight with Endeavor, because that would be awesome. I mean, it has to happen, and they got to hash it out. So that'll really be exciting.
Whoa.
But then when I think about it, it's like, we have so much like action to sift through and so many like conflicts. Like it finally felt like we're in the thick of it now with this episode.
Which felt good, but at the same time, too, going back to Dobby,
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's a fight to the death now. We're finding out. Dobby's body's not holding up at all. Even if he doesn't fight, he's done soon.
Exactly. So he's going to give 100%. I don't think Shoto could keep up with that without taking some serious damage or dying. So it's got to be Endeavor. It just, as far as everything we've learned in the story, it just makes sense. It's got to be Dobby versus Endeavor.
Yeah, which I thought was really good, but I mean, it was a great episode. There isn't like a whole lot to really dive into and like talk about.
That's true.
It started and finished all in the episode. You know what I mean? Now there's not really anything to talk about until next episode or until when we ever see Endeavor and Dobby. Everything's really starting to pick up. Like I said, we're in the thick of it now. It feels good to actually see some combat and actually see some follow through with it. You know, we kind of saw like a possible ending to it. You know what I mean? Instead of just like, oh, we throw a punch and that's, or like the episode last week where it was like, okay, little interaction with Deku and Toga and then he just dips. You know what I mean? It really wasn't anything, but like this actually seems like it has some sort of like finishing up of. So I think it's really good, and like I'm super excited now to start to see the rest of the fights. You know, let's really start to get into it. And we talked about at the beginning of the season where it's like we're gonna have a lot of dialogue with these fights as well, and that was kind of proved this week as well. Not in a bad way.
No, I agree. I was gonna say it's not a bad thing. Like I was kind of the same way as you at first. Like we know to an extent Dobby's backstory and stuff, but then they give you new information, and it's like some of the dialogue is important, and the whole like brother versus brother thing I thought was cool. So like. It is adding to the fight, but it's nice that we're getting that blend. You know, they're hashing stuff out, they're talking, but they're also like fighting and connecting. So that for me makes me feel like excited for the next couple weeks. I'm really excited to see what happens.
Well, the biggest problem is that we ended up really finding out about Dobby's body, about how it's giving out, but also how he was a possible vessel. And we heard that there's multiple. That's a little worrisome. It's not just Dobby or Shigaraki that were vessels. There's apparently a couple more out there. So I wonder if they're going to come into play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was an interesting like introduction. I feel like they slid that in at the end of his backstory a couple times. Yeah, but they just couldn't control Dobby. His obsession with his father is too much. So I think I kind of like that about his character. Like he can't be swayed one way or another. He just has like one purpose, one set revenge. It's kind of sick, but
ironic because that's what Endeavor is. Endeavor is one purpose, one idea. The only thing he cares about is just beating All Might. You know what I mean? And it's funny that he was trying to push that into Dobby, force that into him, and it's like you did, just with a different topic. Instead of going after All Might, he's going after you. You know what I mean? You're really the one he wants to top.
Your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like it'll be like really fun to see that like kind of fucked up family deal with its like its trauma. You know what I mean? We'll be like in a therapy room watching with our popcorn, watching them duke it out.
My Hero Academia reality TV boys, keeping up with the what's their last name?
With the Todorokis?
Yeah, keeping up with the Todorokis.
It's so good.
No, but like yeah, it was great. I can't wait to see next week, and it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be really nice to see. But yeah, Windbreaker, an anime we're not gonna see next week, or probably not gonna talk about next week now because of this. You know, boys. I mean, come on.
Devastating. I had no idea when I watched that episode, just not thinking because I'm a knucklehead. You're like, yeah, that was the last episode. I'm like, that was not. It doesn't feel like
it. It does not. I triple checked. Not even kidding. When it ended, I triple checked to make sure it was actually 12 episode season, and it is. And I still don't believe it. I mean, like I said, it's paced like Frieren. Like we just had this Shistoran arc. They're back at Frieren. It feels good. Like I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm liking the interactions. I'm liking what's kind of going on and all this kind of stuff. It's really enjoyable. I love it. And then it's just like, okay, we're gonna meet the rest of the four kings. Which, by the way, Maki's one of them. I don't know if anyone noticed that.
Yeah, that's sick.
She's like, Gojo.
He seems like a cool character.
I'm gonna go to Frieren.
Yeah, right. It was cool to see. Like, I feel like all these animes this week, everything kind of either added depth to the story, like with My Hero and Demon Slayer. The world is built. We know a lot about the world, but it added depth to the characters, depth to the story, the lore. And then in our two newer animes, like they started building that world, giving you a little more information and stuff. So like it was a really good episode for Windbreaker, kind of seeing how they're going to like structure the politics of like the hierarchy. Mm-hmm. And like obviously seeing Sakura get nominated was super cool. It's always funny because he can't handle any sign of like endearment.
Why is he putting up such a fight when like you want to be number one in the school? Like this is what you want, dude. Why are you fighting it?
I think he knows he's probably the toughest and best fighter in his grade. Like even Suo I'm trying to like think of how he phrased it, but even Suo was like, you know, you're inspiring or whatever. Like you can tell he's tough. So nobody really thinks they're better than Sakura. So for me, it would be like a fitting position for him. You know, he wants to
It's
take
the
the top
stepping
and
stones. Yeah, like that's how you get to the top. You gotta be the top of your class first, and he's putting up such a goddamn fight about it. It's like, bro, like, did you not want? It's kind of like Sakura never thought he could actually be the top. He just wanted to go and fight. You know what I mean? And kind of
see
be the
how good
underdog.
of a fighter. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but he
how good a
didn't
fighter he
realize
was.
he'd actually be so goddamn strong and be able to actually like be up there. You know, the second he gets in, you know what I mean? Like you're not at the bottom. Like you started midway to closer to the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the friends he's making too. Like I think he's been put on obviously to the right people, but like they take care of him. They realize he's kind of like we'll say socially awkward. I feel like that's a generous phrase for soccer. He
That
just
is generous.
fights, can't take affection. Like clearly needs some therapy there, but
Yeah.
he's got good friends, and I think that'll help him grow as a person because that's really the difference between Umemiya and Sakura. He has a lot more empathy and is able to like connect with people outside of fighting. And obviously, he's older, so he knows more about life than Sakura. But Sakura has to kind of move on from his past, I think, and learn to accept people and like lean on people other than just like his own
And
abilities.
with the people he's meeting, it's like this isn't what he expected at all. You know, like it's just
Absolutely.
a total 180 than what he was expecting. Not only from getting in there and actually like you're actually like, dude, you did a lot of the fights. You took on the number 2 guy. You beat him. You were kicking ass your first day. Went against Sugar Shita or whatever his name is. Did well against him. Actually landed a hit. He didn't land shit against you. Like you actually proving yourself to actually be like a damn good fighter. You know, now you're meeting all these people that are really help building you. Because like here's the thing too that I've been saying since day one, boys. Does he have parents? In his phone, we did not see his parents' contacts. It was
Yeah,
just
that's a
like
good
the
point.
weather. So I think what he's really getting at the school too is like a family, is like a father figure, brothers. You know what I mean? Like he's growing
Absolutely.
so much as a person, which is why this anime is just so good, and it's just so nice to see him at Furin and seeing those interactions and seeing all of that amazing stuff. So seeing this be the possible last episode of the season just doesn't make sense. I wanted to see one more arc of him meeting the 4 kings and getting to know them. So we met the one, like I said, there's that other kid, and then there's the person that looks like Maki, and really kind of just getting into that and kind of getting into the hierarchy or the structure of the school, and then maybe get into them Zinc or something like that. You know what I mean? Against another gang or whatever the next obstacle is, and have that be season 2. So the fact that it's stopping here just doesn't feel right. It feels like a weird note to leave on. But I gotta say this: soccer is just like us with not knowing any goddamn names.
Yeah, he like forgets everybody's names. I love that trope in anime. Like Luffy is like that. He always calls people by the wrong name. Like I don't know, something about that is so fucking funny and like
Dude,
slightly
Inosuke does the same thing too.
Dude,
Inosuke
I
calls
forgot to
Tanjiro like a
bring
bunch
that
of
up.
different shit. Yeah.
Dude, it had been so long since we got a Gonpachiro. He like just says his name wrong every time. I was dying. I think it was 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago when he
So
did
how are
that.
you
But
guys blaming us for not knowing these names? Not even the characters in the animes know the names. All right, but you're expecting us to know it? It doesn't make any sense.
like
No
I
sense.
was telling you, like the muscle bound dude in Kaiju. I'm like, oh, I can never remember his name. Oh, it's Aoi, like Toto,
Yeah.
the other buff guy in a different anime. If I can like make that connection, I got it. Perfect.
Yeah, that's the only thing where it's like if you watch more anime, then you can kind of link the names by like, oh, like these people all share the same name, and it's like okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
And one thing with like Japanese, obviously watching like the subtitles, they always Japanese people use their last name. So like you run into multiple characters with like the same name, even though like it's I'm trying to like Tachibana's real name is fucking Kotoha. Like I always use the last name, but it is what it is.
Well, people will
It's tough
use
to keep track of
both.
sometimes.
Like some characters in the anime will use Tachibana, one will use Kotoha. Like it's all mixed. So it's like when you're like first getting the anime too, it's so fucking confusing. It's like, wait, I thought that person was called this. Why are they calling them that? And then maybe they'll have a nickname as well. And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yo, trying to watch My Hero, it's like
It's so
Shoto's
hard.
talking about Toya. Toya's actually Dabi. It's like, wait, what? Oh, everybody has like a superhero name and then like their actual name.
We have
It's
Deku, Itadori, or Itadoria, Midoriya. Like what's Deku's first name? It's Deku.
yeah,
It's
Midoriya.
Midoriya. But then what's the other one? It starts with an I. Like Itadori or Itadoria or whatever they. I think it's
Yuji
Itadori.
Itadori. Yeah, from Jujutsu Kaisen.
No, but I think that's also Deku name. I think that's also Izuku. Fucking dumbass. Izuku
Oh,
Midoriya.
that's
Deku was his name to make fun of him. So Deku
Oh
has
my god.
3 names, and I first started watching My Hero Academia when I first started getting into anime, and it was so goddamn confusing. I was like, wait, I thought that was Midoriya, and it's Yuku. Like I thought
Does
it was Deku. Like I was like so confused.
I feel like it's been a while, and he's also earned a lot more respect. But does Bakugo ever like call him Watchan?
Well, I don't think they've really interacted in a while, to be honest.
Yeah, like I seen it in the manga, and I was like, it hit me. I'm like, that is the best nickname or like fucking joke I've ever
So like,
heard.
bro's got 4 names. Like, what do you guys expect from us? Like, it's just so
Yeah,
hard to keep track of names in this shit. It's like impossible.
it's definitely tough, especially with Windbreaker, where you have like a whole cast. It's not about like just Class A. It's about everybody. It's tough to keep track of, but
That's
I
every
want
anime
to
these
say,
days.
yeah, that is true, and it's better that way. You like
Absolutely,
variety.
exactly. I
I
like
feel like
more characters.
for Windbreaker, I want to say I'm a little, I guess, disappointed because I feel like they have a decent amount of momentum. If you gave people like 12 more episodes or like 2021, people could really get invested into it. And obviously, I'm not animating it or writing it, so it's
Yeah.
easy for me to say that. But as a very big fan of a new anime, it would be cool to get more because I feel like you're at a point where we still have questions or you want to see what's next. Like, if you have this momentum, if you gave people another 12 episodes, which easy for me to say, like, I feel like you could get a better setup. You could have like one of the Furin guys get, jumped by the Zinc guys and get, beat up or something. So you have like a rivalry and it's like, oh, there's like a big event coming up for season 2 that I have to show up for. I'll be here for the next season.
Well, yeah, we
It
haven't
it,
even had building with the actual Fear and people because it went right to Historian and now it's back. We just met 2 of the guys.
it does feel kind of like forgettable in a way. Like I'm not like even like the Umamiya fight, there's nothing at the end of these like couple episodes where I'm like, yo, that was so sick. Like I cannot
Yeah.
wait to see that. Like the fight scenes are fun.
It's the
I like it,
pacing.
but the pacing's very weird. It's really fast, then it's super fucking slow at
Hmm.
Shistorin, and now it's like lightning quick again. So and like I don't dislike it. I think the pacing is okay, but I feel like they would do like the brand or like the show more justice if you gave 16, 18, 20 episodes, just a little bit more for us to like sink into.
Yeah, like I said, it's like not that the pacing's bad. The pacing's bad if it's 12 episodes. The pacing is built for like a 24 episode season. That's what we need. If you cut it halfway through, it's going to feel halfway done. You know what I mean? And that's what it seems like they're doing, which is going to be really disappointing if that's what ends up happening.
And for me, Windbreaker's a really specific anime. Um, like having Cloverworks animated is like kind of, I want to say it's cool, but it's like challenging because you couldn't hand that off to another studio and get that same kind of aesthetic or
Yeah.
quality, I think. So like I want them to like have a good season and then it's like, all right, Cloverworks round 2 because they're one of the best studios out there and like just some of those shots of like the Ori, with like the neon lights going out in the rain and uh just like the graffiti at the school, some of that stuff as the background has really hit hard for me and like I love it. I think it probably brings the manga to life a lot more. So like I just hope they get a good season 2 because it does, like I said, feel like it's kind of ending short prematurely, if you will.
Yeah, like halfway through. And it's tough. Especially because like it hasn't gotten a ton of popular. Hopefully, it gets a little bit of a second wave here. Because like I said, if next anime season is going to be uh, not good, you know what I mean, where it's just very, very, very light compared to something that was very, very, very. Because I think it's gonna be light regardless for a normal season. You know what I mean? So the
Yeah,
fact that you're having such a late season or right after a stacked season, maybe some people are gonna go back and be like, okay, well now I can start watching because no one has time to watch fucking 15 animes a week. You know what I mean? So now
it's
that the
true.
season ends, a lot of those animes end. They're like, well, now there's not really any like really good ones starting up. Oh well, maybe let's go back and start watching some of these. But some of these were really good, and that's what might end up happening. You might see that little bit of a second wave. People are like, hey, dude, Windbreaker was really good. You should check that out. Good, check that out. Like, oh my god, this is great. And now you can binge it. That's the great part. Because now it's fully out. Now the dub's gonna be fully done. So hopefully that's the kind of thing that happens. But it's just like one of those breathing periods too. Because it seems like the end of the year, the fall season is going to be nasty. Like the fall season is going to be
Yeah,
very. We have a finally a romance anime that's coming out, Blue Box, I think it is. There's going to be the next season of Blue Lock. I think that's apparently when Chainsaw Man I saw. I don't know. Chainsaw Man movie is eluding me. I thought it was this Friday. I was excited. Apparently it's in the fall of 2024, or apparently it's not a release date out yet. I don't know. I don't know. You guys fucking suck at communicating these things. I got all excited
help
for
us
nothing.
out. I have no idea because I've seen like so many different things. It feels like it was scrubbed from the internet, or I'm just every source out there is fucking spreading this information.
Fucking like we made it up or something. I was like, what's going on? I feel like I'm losing my mind.
And like part 2 is a little of the manga is a little weird right now, but like it's got people talking about it, so I feel like now is the time to execute.
Yeah.
But even the fall would be fine for a movie.
Yeah,
but just take their time, do it right. I want a sick movie because that's a huge part of the Chainsaw Man story.
Yeah, especially if you're gonna want a season 2. Like this is the big invest a lot of money. People still love the shit. You know what I mean? Because it's been a while since season 1. But yeah, there's also a ton more animes coming out at the end of the year as well in fall. So just super excited. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it. One hell of a week. It's gonna be sad that some of these animes are gonna be gone. You know, Windbreaker's gone this week. Kaiju number 8 is gonna be gone next week or this week.
No.
Yeah, Windbreaker ended last week. Kaiju number 8 is gonna end this week, which is gonna be devastating. But
we'll just have to find something to fill in the gaps, and you know maybe we'll rally back to a condition called love. Nah, true. That Go Loser Rangers is definitely.
I can't go back to condition called love. So bad.
Hulu's at least been saving us. There's definitely some good stuff there, and I'm excited to make that Go Loser Rangers video because that show's been really interesting. I've really enjoyed it.
Dude, Hulu, again, we're going to make a video. Dude, Hulu's originals have been something else. I'm going to binge like 3 more. Like, I mean...
Hell yeah.
Bro, it's the same incident where, like, I watched that Mission Something Family where it's, like, the same thing where we're, like, with Go Loser. Well, oh, just watch the dubs. And then you watch the dubs that's out and you're like, yeah. And then you get caught up. And now it's like, I think there's, like, 2 more weeks until that's done. So, like, just so many good animes. We're going to have videos. It's going to be fun. But that's it. You got anything else you want to say?
If anybody knows the date of the actual Chainsaw Man movie, please
know.
help us.
Please.
Have a good week and watch Windbreaker. I want a season 2.
Yeah, boys, we really want a season 2. It's a good anime, okay? It's a good anime. It's got a lot of great characters. But that's it, guys. Have a good one and peace.